everyone, Steph here from Power Bespoke. I just wanted to quickly jump on and make a bit of an advice video for anyone who's house hunting at the moment and considering making an offer on a property. It's mainly aimed at first-time buyers, I must admit, but it is relevant to everybody, so don't turn off if you're not a first-time buyer. But if you are a first-time buyer, the reason I'm aiming it more so to yourselves is because you haven't gone through the process of actually having to sell a property yet. So sometimes it's very easy to look at a house and think of it as bricks and mortar and just a property, and not remember that actually behind the front door there is a family there, or there's a couple there, or there's someone there who is waiting for you to then be able to move forward with the next chapter of their lives. So they are stuck until they have that all-important offer on the property. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because unfortunately, in Power Bespoke, but also with other agents that I've spoken to recently, there has been quite a few instances recently of buyers making offers and then pulling out very, very quickly afterwards because they just hadn't thought of things before making the offer. They hadn't considered things. So they're moving quickly and then getting scared and pulling the plug. Now, from the point of view of a seller, that's a real emotional roller coaster. You are sat there waiting for that right person to come along. You think they've come along, you accept the offer, you're really excited to go. You can now start looking at properties, and then within a couple of days, it's all come crashing down and you're back to square one, and it is jarring. It's not heartbreaking, actually. It's really, really difficult. So it's just things to remember as a buyer before you make that all-important offer so that you avoid putting anyone in that sort of situation. So first things first, please understand the costs involved before you make the offer. And by that, I don't just mean speaking to your mortgage broker, getting an idea on your affordability, working out roughly what the legal costs are. Those are obviously very important things that most people will do before they even go out viewing. If you're not doing that before you go out viewing, start doing it. So you want to make sure that your affordability is fully understand. And in a lot of cases, remember as well, because this is what I've experienced recently, your affordability may be considerably higher than what you can actually feel comfortable affording. So sometimes lenders will give you a massive budget, but actually the monthly repayments on that mortgage are so high, you're not even sure how you'd afford to eat. So you've got to be really, really careful with ensuring that actually that is fully affordable before you go and look at houses. But the main point I'm talking about here, and this is especially key on flats or on properties that are in newer developments, there are quite often service charges, potential ground rents, other things that you need to consider, and other costs, monthly costs, that you would need to consider within your offer. So I had it recently with someone who made an offer on a property. Over the weekend, we were going back and forth because her initial offer was too low. We finally got to a point where we actually got to an acceptable figure. And come the Monday, I phoned her up and said, "Congratulations, your offer's been accepted." And her response was, "Oh, that was quick. Let me speak to my partner." Now that scared me immediately, because when I accept someone's offer, I expect excitement. I expect someone to be like, "Oh, this is amazing, like we can get going, how exciting." And that was not the reaction I got at all. Later on that day, she started asking me about service charges. Now, all of that information is fully available on the website. It's all there on Rightmove to show you what the costs are, and everything's in place. So if that's the situation, when you view a property, ask the agent, are there any other charges associated with the property that I need to be aware of? Service charge, ground rent, buildings insurance, all that sort of thing. The agent can then pass that information on to you. Now take that information and speak to your broker, because the broker will let you know if A, that affects your affordability, because lenders will consider that against what they're prepared to lend you. So will that affect your affordability, and what does that mean your monthly repayments look like? And is that something that you can afford? Once you've done that, then you can make an offer, because then you're comfortable in knowing what the costs are associated with it. So make sure you do all your research before you put that offer forward. Tip number 2, let's say you go out and view and you see 2 houses you like. Very common, it happens a lot. Please just pick one house and make an offer. Don't offer on 2 or 3. Ultimately, you will be guaranteed to be letting someone down if you do that. And it's not fair. It's just not fair. So find the one that you prefer, find your preference, and offer on that property. In the meantime, call the other agent and explain, "I loved that house. There's another one that's just pipped it to the post a little bit, so we are offering on that one first. But if that doesn't come of anything, we will be coming back and making an offer on yours. So please, Mr. Agent or Mrs. Agent, can you please let me know if anything changed with this property, if anyone else expresses an interest? I'd really appreciate being kept informed." That way, you're being really respectful of the sellers in that situation. I've had it again recently where someone did not do that, and we had an offer, we accepted it, we spent the next 3 days checking their financial situation out, getting their ID all sorted, making sure there's agreement with principal in place, everything there, which they did. And that day, 3 days later, I marked the property as sold subject to contract. On that day, that's when the buyers told me they'd offered on something else and actually they were going to be proceeding with that one instead. It's not fair. It's just not fair. Those poor sellers. So just make sure that you are doing everything really, really respectfully, please. Third point. If you're offering, you have to be ready to commit. If you are not prepared to take yourself out of the market, do not expect a seller to take their property off the market for you. That's not fair. So if you are making an offer on a property, you have to be doing it with the idea that if the sellers accept it, you're prepared to stop viewing, you're prepared to commit to that property, and you're prepared to start moving forward on it. If you are not ready to do that, you're not ready to make an offer, so don't do it. I know everyone thinks that a seller will really appreciate an offer coming forward, but they'll only appreciate it if you are actually ready to commit. So don't give them maybe energy, actually commit to it. And if you're not prepared to do that, don't offer yet. Last point, and this is a really important one to protect yourselves. Your reputation is important and agents will remember you if you've messed somebody about. And I know your intention wouldn't have been to have messed somebody about, but the reality is that's the outcome of the situation. If you offer and then withdraw without a good reason and a valid reason, and that's really important because I do appreciate that in some situations there will be totally valid reasons for withdrawing, but if it's happened because you just didn't look into things properly or you just changed your mind, it's not a valid reason and an agent will remember that. So I'm not saying we'll blacklist you, we'll never do that, but let's say you end up viewing a property that you love and then 2 or 3 offers come in and you've messed about before in the past. That agent will tell that seller that that was the situation and it will put you in a worse position compared to other buyers. That is, as an agent, my due diligence to a client is making sure that they're fully aware of the situation. And as a buyer, you want to make sure that you're being put forward or your offer is being put forward in the best light possible. So don't mess people around previously to then mean that you might end up in a situation where you're being not blacklisted, like I say, but you're put to the bottom of the pile because of that previous situation. So just be really careful, just really think about things before you do anything. Protect yourselves, but also do consider the person at the other end of that situation, please. So, like I say, I do appreciate as well that buying a house, especially as a first-time buyer, is scary and it's a lot. So if you ever need any help, you need any advice, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me or anyone at Power Bespoke. We will always be happy to help. And we'd rather give you advice than end up being in a situation where we're annoyed at you, no offense. So make sure that you speak to us, but hopefully this helps. Hopefully it opens up some questions that you need to ask before you make an offer. So it's things to consider. And yeah, wishing you happy house hunting.